Didn't
Watch!
Hi, welcome to the very first episode of Too Long Didn't Watch, where we watch movies so you don't have to, then recap them. And at the end, we'll give you a movie grade of good, bad, or downright strange. I'm your purple-haired host, Joe Cherries.
And I'm your doodle drawer, Chris.
And today, we're starting off with Superman. No, not that one. Not that one either. Nope, not even that one. Maybe that one later. There it is, 2025 Superman, directed by James Gunn. This movie stirred up some serious controversy with people comparing it to, well, every other Superman movie from the last 100 years or so. So, is this new Superman movie good, bad, or downright strange? Let's find out. We start with a multi-part text scroll filling us in on Superman's backstory, thankfully skipping us past the superhero origin story, which everyone is completely sick of, including me. Seriously, we already have 2 Superman movies with an origin story, and at this point, who doesn't know who Superman is? And then, Superman dies. Well, not literally. You see, Superman had his ass completely kicked off screen, and now is bleeding in a pool of his own blood.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody!
It feels like a really strange place to start, but I think the best way to describe it is this movie kicks off like a comic book where you didn't read the last issue, as we're just thrown into this universe that's already there. Luckily, next we get to meet the real star of this movie, Krypto, the poorly trained superdog. After Krypto beats the crap out of a dead Superman, he drags him back to the Fortress of Solitude by his cape, where he meets Superman's sassy robot butler, played by Alan Tudyk. And despite the fact that they say this,
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate it. We have no consciousness whatsoever.
very clearly they have consciousness. The robots then take Superman under a magnifying glass, which heals him with the sun. Because if you don't know Superman lore, yes, the sun is where he gets his powers, and the sun literally heals him. During this scene, we also get one of the main plot catalysts, a message from his Kryptonian parents, one of whom is Bradley Cooper, who doesn't really look like Bradley Cooper, but looks like an actor trying to pretend to be Bradley Cooper. Seriously, if it came out that this was like AI Bradley Cooper, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But this message from his parents is damage. You know, the first part's really nice, and I'm sure the second part was really nice too, and won't come back to haunt Superman later in this movie. After healing back up, Superman flies back to Metropolis to fight the Hammer of Boravia. Pause for a second. Alright, I need to explain a little bit of plot. You see, the Hammer of Boravia is from the fictional country of Boravia, a country with no real-world parallel. You see, Boravia tried to invade Jahanpur, but was stopped by Superman, and now the Hammer of Boravia is here for vengeance. Alright, back to the movie. This is where we meet Lex Luthor, played by the great Nicholas Hoult. Seriously, this man is a great actor. You see, Lex Luthor is controlling the Hammer of Boravia using bingo calls.
98Z, 8H, 74D.
I know that's a joke, but seriously, he's just yelling letters and numbers at him, and he's doing attacks based on those letters and numbers. The Hammer of Boravia proceeds to kick Superman's ass up and down town until he's tired of it and just leaves. Following this fight, Lex's employees do some expositing about how he's obsessed with Superman, which we kind of already figured, and we see Lex's girlfriend taking a selfie, something that will definitely not be relevant later in the movie, but definitely will be relevant later in the movie. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Lex's goon, the engineer, is out at the Fortress of Solitude, which earlier she followed Superman to. This means Lex now knows where the Fortress of Solitude is. Down on the streets, a beaten up Superman meets up with Molly, a local falafel streetcar vendor. Molly helps Superman out of a hole that he got thrown into, and we really get a feeling that this world is well established. I know I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it's really nice to just kind of be thrown into a comic book world rather than having to establish the whole entire thing from the beginning. We then follow the Hammer of Boravia to some unknown campsite where he goes into a portal and is suddenly in Lex's tower. And once he arrives at the tower, it is immediately revealed by Lex that he is actually Ultraman, which is a fun mod for people who know Superman lore, as it's a little giveaway to who it might be, and means nothing if you don't know Superman lore, so don't worry about it. We'll get back to it in a bit. The next time, Clark is showing off how he blends in with regular people, and it's less about the glasses and more about the lack of hair product. But actually, it's explained later in the movie it's actually only the glasses. You see, they're hypno glasses. They make you see someone else's face when you look at them. Clark then gets a call from Mom, Pa, Kent, and instantly you will fall in love with these parents. They are the cutest Southern people ever. And seriously, it's the little things in the scene, like the way his mom uses the phone. It is the most adorable thing I have ever seen. These are true salt of the earth people. We then meet more of the Daily Planet workers, like Lois Lane, who's the best reporter there, and Jimmy Olsen, who's there. On TV, we see the Baravian president, a crazy man who has no real-world parallel, doing his big speech against Superman. He's pissed because Superman stopped that war, as we mentioned earlier. Time skip forward to Lois Lane entering her apartment, where she hears a noise, and immediately grabs a baseball bat, which she apparently keeps near the door. But surprise, it's Clark Kent. And surprise, they've been dating for 3 months. And surprise, she's already knows he's Superman. And surprise, no, wait, I'm out of surprises actually. That's all the surprises. So after they do some kissy time and expositing, Clark offers to let Lois interview him as Superman. And during this interview, Lois proves that she's not just a journalist. She's one of the best journalists out there, as she asks him hard-hitting questions non-stop. So much that they leave Superman flustered and completely out of his comfort zone. One of my absolute favorite parts of this interview, though, is this line right here.
I would question myself in the same situation and hold off a beat and consider the consequences.
People were going to die!
This is the most Superman line I've ever heard in any Superman movie. After a bit more of the interview, the frustration comes to a head, and Clark can't deal with it anymore as he leaves, ending the interview, leading to complete and utter relationship drama, the thing everybody wants in their superhero movie. See, I think they just put this here to keep the gays and the girls happy.
Joe, we are the gays, and yes, this did make us very happy.
Jump to the next scene, and we have Lex Luthor heading to the Fortress of Solitude, and it even opens up for him? Lex's 2 goons, the Engineer and Ultraman, show off their powers by beating up the robots in the Fortress of Solitude. While Ultraman's powers are kinda obvious, the Engineer is weird. She has these weird nanites, which are little tiny robots that pretty much just let her do whatever she wants. And then the Engineer does this move. And seriously, this looks cool, but she's a normal human underneath those nanites. So either her head came out of her coochie, or this didn't happen. Krypto does his best job defending the place, but is immediately taken down by the nanobots from the Engineer. The Engineer then uses her nanobots to hack into the Fortress of Solitude's computer. And what a shock! Not only is she able to completely hack into an alien computer, which seems like it would be an impossible feat, she finds exactly what they need, the message from Superman's parents. And not only does she find the message, she repairs the damaged message. Meanwhile, back in Metropolis, to distract Superman from catching him at the Fortress of Solitude, Lex has released a tiny little lizard man that overnight becomes kaiju sized. And while this giant kaiju lizard isn't much of a problem for Superman to fight, his main issue is trying to save everyone, as Superman does. From dogs, to little kids, to squirrels, and even prime downtown real estate. And yes, I listed them in order of importance. This fight also serves one other purpose, to introduce us to the Justice Gang. The Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, a cocky douche with a bad haircut, Hawkgirl, who gets no characterization pretty much at all through this whole movie, and Mr. Terrific, arguably the coolest hero you've never heard of. The Justice Gang teams up with Superman to kill the kaiju, but Superman has no time to enjoy the win, as simultaneously to the fight ending, Lex has broadcast the message from Clark's parents to every screen in the world. Or at least that's how it seems. Turns out Clark's parents were Kryptonian supremacists who wanted him to come to Earth to rule over the whole thing and even create a secret harem in order to keep the Kryptonian bloodline alive. Jesus fuck. And while this sounds completely made up and fake and something that Lex would totally do in order to make Superman look bad, it's not. Mr. Terrific confirms that this is completely true. This is not doctored, this is not fake, this is just what is happening. Meanwhile, over in Baravia, we find out that the Baravian president has his own working teleporter. But wait a minute, that means he's working with Lex Luthor? During this conversation, we find out a lot of important information, like the fact that Lex Luthor will get half of Jarhanpur after the invasion. And the more important thing, the fact that the Baravian president really loves donuts. Once realizing where Lex got the message, Superman rushes back to the Fortress of Solitude, where he finds all of his robots broken. Yes, that's right. Alan Tudyk robot is completely broken.
In the arms of the angel.
But even worse than the death of Alan Tudyk robot is that Lex has taken Krypto captive. Seriously, you don't kidnap a man's dog. We then get a John Cena Peacemaker cameo. Meanwhile, Clark heads over to Lois's house and has a heart-to-heart with her, which is really, really cute. They talk about his missing dog, how he's feeling, and meanwhile in the background, the Justice Gang is fighting a dimensional imp the whole time. And seriously, this is another way that this movie does a great job of just setting up the world. And during this nice heartfelt conversation, Superman tells Lois he loves her and has this really cute line here.
You trust everyone and think everyone you've ever met is, like, beautiful.
Maybe that's the real punk rock.
Jump cut to police brutality. Superman has decided to turn himself in so that he can find his dog. Ultraman then leads Superman through one of the portal thingies, which we learn leads to a pocket universe. Once inside the pocket universe, Superman steps into a glass box with Lex Luthor and our new favorite guy, Rex, aka Elemental Man. But we don't know he's a favorite guy yet. Right now he's just a guy. You see, Rex, aka Elemental Man, can turn his body into any element. And just in case you didn't know, kryptonite is an element. Meanwhile, Lois is trying to figure out what Lex is up to and where Superman is. Luckily, Jimmy Olsen has a source, Eve, aka Lex's girlfriend, who was taking selfies earlier that I said wouldn't be important, but actually was important, but actually maybe I did say it would be important. Doesn't matter. Point is, he's got the inside scoop, which Jimmy tells Lois, so Lois knows now that Superman is in a pocket dimension. Also, I gotta pause for 1 second. Jimmy is a huge jerk in this movie. In his phone, this girl that he has dated in the past, Eve, is named Mutant Toes. That's mean as fuck. Jumping back to the pocket universe, we get a big reveal of just how much of an asshat Lex really is. He's got literal monkey bots spamming social media with trash about Superman.
Hashtag super shit.
He's threatened to kill Krypto, he locks his ex-girlfriend in an interdimensional prison, and he's holding Elemental Man's baby hostage in order to get him to comply with him. Seriously, Lex is fucked. Cut back to Lois, who's trying to get the Justice Gang to help with Superman being captured. But the group doesn't seem too keen on helping Lois find Superman. That is, except Mr. Terrific, who agrees to help Lois. Jumping back to the pocket universe, Lex reveals he's kidnapped the Falafel Guy. He then starts a game of Russian roulette with Superman, where he points a gun at the Falafel Man and shoots if Superman refuses to answer his question. And while Lex expected the game to last a lot longer, it ends after only 2 questions. Jump back to Mr. Terrific and Lois, who are now at the camp where the portal gate is. And we get one of the coolest one-shots in the whole movie, where Mr. Terrific kicks everyone's ass. He uses his circles,
T-spheres.
Okay.
They're three-dimensional. Circles are flat.
T-spheres, to explore the pocket universe and try and find Superman. Meanwhile, Rex has a change of heart. You see, seeing someone get shot in the head right next to you, that'll do it for you. He changes his hand from kryptonite back to whatever his hand was before, and that makes a mini sun, powering back up Superman and allowing him to fly and save Rex's child. There's a bit of an action scene here where Superman's trying to escape, there's a proton river, but ultimately, Superman escapes thanks to the help of Mr. Terrific, Lois, and Elemental Man. But thanks to the prolonged exposure to kryptonite, he now has kryptonite poisoning. And though he will be better in a day or two, it does take a bit of time to heal. Oh yeah, during this escape sequence, the portal was closing and now is seemingly permanently closed. That's probably not relevant, don't worry, we'll never return to that. Lois then takes Superman back to Kansas so that he can get proper care from Mom, Pa Kent. Cut back to Lex, who's throwing a hissy fit, and literally throwing things at his girlfriend like a complete jackass. That's it. This is what makes Eve turn on him, and she decides to send everything to Jimmy, which turns out to be just a bunch of selfies. Nonetheless, she sends everything to Jimmy. But while sending the selfies, she gets captured by Lex and Ultraman. Jimmy then takes those selfies and sends them to Lois, who immediately, within 2 seconds of receiving these photos, notices that in the background, exactly what Lex has planned and exactly what he's trying to do. Seriously, she's the greatest detective in the world. Screw Batman, Lois Lane is the world's greatest detective. Lex, in complete desperation, needs to figure out what he can do to draw out Superman. So he decides to reopen that portal that I said wasn't important but might be important earlier, which causes a literal tear in reality and the literal Earth. It literally tears the Earth apart. Cutting back to Superman, he's sitting there with his father, who helps him realize that his own choices make him who he is, and not anything like his parents wanted him to be at all. His dad tears up because he's a big old mush, and honestly, this is a really cute scene.
Your choices, Clark. That's what makes you who you are. I couldn't be more proud of you.
I really like the character of Ma and Pa Kent. They're so cute. The news report on the box shows that the Moravians are about to invade again, and Superman has to stop them. I mean, he definitely has to stop them. They're about to shoot a bunch of kids who are raising a Superman flag. Because the symbol of Superman for them is the symbol of hope.
It's my people's symbol for hope.
Hope starts with an H, stupid.
But right as Superman's about to leave for Boravia, he is interrupted by Mr. Terrific, telling him that he absolutely needs him to come to Metropolis as it's being torn apart by an interdimensional rift. Something that Mr. Terrific can do absolutely nothing to stop and requires the help of Superman. Luckily, this rift is pretty slow moving, so the entire city of Metropolis is able to evacuate, but in the middle of this evacuation, the news never stops. You see, everyone at the Daily Planet is still kind of just there, doing their job, outlining, and trying to do the big Lex expose. Dimensional rifts be damned, they are meeting their deadlines. The rift that hits Metropolis, destroying everything in its path, splitting literal buildings in half, knocking those buildings over like dominoes, and even completely knocks LexCorp in half. But luckily, Lex's office is a flying spaceship thingy because obviously his office is a spaceship. Why wouldn't it be? Superman does some quick heroics, saves a person on a bridge, all that fun stuff. But then, Lex's goons attack. Ultraman and the Engineer take down Mr. Terrific and start tag teaming Superman. They get in a quick fight sequence, including one swift kick to the balls, and then try to suffocate him with the nanites. And while the nanites are taking over Superman, they even do this weird eye shot. Seriously, why do Superman movies like these weird ass eye shots? Superman then does the only thing he can think to get all the nanites off of him. He does a big fly into space, while being held onto by Ultraman and the Engineer. He then plummets straight down to Earth from outer space. This kills the Engineer, but doesn't actually kill her, and damages Ultraman's helmet. It's time for the big reveal. Turns out Ultraman was actually a clone of Superman the whole time. After the big reveal, Lex continues using his bingo calls to have Ultraman beat up Superman pretty hard. And simultaneously, the Boravians are invading, but right then, the Justice Gang shows up in Boravia to save the day. Guy Gardner, who flips off tanks, Hawkgirl, who literally murders the president of Boravia, and Elemental Man, who's there. Lex meanwhile reveals just how obsessed he truly is with Superman.
I'm not killing you so the Boravian military conflict can proceed. I created the Boravian military conflict so I'd have an excuse to kill you.
He then says the words brain beats brawn while yelling bingo calls to Ultraman, who is beating up Superman using his brawn. And while Lex is completely winning this fight, Superman has one secret weapon, Superdog, who takes out all the flying cameras around the battle, so Lex can no longer see and do his bingo calls. Now that this is Superman versus Ultraman one-on-one, Superman can easily defeat Ultraman. After defeating Ultraman, Superman and Mr. Terrific go flying into Lex's office building in order to stop the rift. Superman gives a big heartfelt speech about my greatest strength is I'm a human being. I don't know why he says it like that. He shouldn't have. He should just, talk like a normal human. But he said it all weird, so that's a thing. And then because Superman's such a good guy, and he would never really beat up Lex because he knows he could easily kill him, we have Krypto the Superdog beat up Lex, because that's funnier.
If not today, then tomorrow.
Dude.
Mr. Terrific is then able to close the rift.
I don't need your help. I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific.
And simultaneously, the news report of Lex's shady dealings go live. Seriously, it's the second time in the movie that right as some other events are ending, the news story goes live. The news in Metropolis has literal perfect timing. Alright, we then get a bunch of wrapping up. We get some foreshadowing for future conflicts with the US military, Elemental Man joins the Justice Gang, and all of Lex's pocket universe prisoners are freed, including Eve. The movie wraps up with Superman back at the Fortress of Solitude, with the cameo from drunk Supergirl getting beaten up by her dog, but Superman relaxes now, watching footage of his parents. No, not his Kryptonian supremacist Bradley Cooper looking biological parents, but rather Ma and Pa Kent. The people who made him who he is. The end. And that is 2025 Superman. I really, really enjoyed this film. I think that this is the first Superman movie where I was like, that is Superman.
And I agree entirely. Because what this movie really highlights, showcases even, is what Superman's greatest strength is. And it's not his ability to fly or shoot lasers out of his eyes, but it's his humanity. The fact that he cares for everyone is what makes him the hero that he is.
So what do me and Chris rate this movie? Good, bad, or downright strange? We both think this movie is good. Thank thanks everyone for watching. This is our very first video, so it might be a little rough around the edges, but honestly, I'm very proud of how it turned out. I hope all of you enjoyed this video, and I hope you like and subscribe. Have a great day.